Hello, Mzansi. It's Saturday afternoon on SABC One, meaning it's time for Game On, where, of course, we give you previews and some of the best action from the local football scene, including out in England, and also we'll be looking into what's been happening at the Africa Cup of Nations. So the special guests we'll be bringing your way today will be a son of the soil in Jeff Katala, later on to discuss, of course, the Africa Cup of Nations and all the drama in Cote d'Ivoire. We'll also have a, legend in Cherise Kosana, followed up by another in Shane McGregor, who helps us start our focus on the Premier League out in England. Shane, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure being in your company as always. And, you got it right with some of your predictions last week. Liverpool bouncing back against Burnley, a 3-1 result following their loss. Important for them to bounce back.
Very important for them to get back. They obviously needed that result. But just shows you, the character of the players. With Klopp announced he's going to be gone at the end of the season. I think the players want to do it for him for the season, and try and win the league. Obviously, they will want to try and win the league. But I think they'll put that little bit of extra effort in to say goodbye to Klopp.
Manchester City with a 2-0 win over Everton, which is another important result, both at the top and at the bottom of the table. But Kevin De Bruyne continues since his return to be a standout figure out at City.
Kevin De Bruyne is different class. I mean, he must be one of the best players in the world at the moment. Just what he brings to the team, he's so good on the ball. He brings players in, he attracts attention and then passes the ball. But his vision is different class. What a player to have in your team. And then you've got so many others in that side. So they gain well at the moment. And it's going to be very difficult for them to be beaten at this stage.
It is keeping things interesting right at the top, but we have to talk about the bottom as well. Interesting result between Sheffield and Luton. Luton at home, of course, to Sheffield United. United walking away with a 3-1 win there. Important result for Sheffield.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, we always talk about the 6-pointers. That was a definite 6-pointer for Sheffield. Maybe this will give them the little bit of momentum they need to go forward and carry on. But, Luton were on a roll, and then they go let themselves down. Big loss. That's going to bring them back into that little quagmire at the bottom. Very difficult to see who's going to go down there. I still think Luton are in trouble. Sheffield have got to wake up, even though they did get that victory. Got to start getting more victories. But it's going to be all to play for. Could go down to the wire at the end of the season.
Lastly, one can't ignore Arsenal-West Ham. It's a derby, home game for West Ham. Arsenal, of course, looking to build on the impressive result against Liverpool. But no one could have seen the 6-0 scoreline in favour of Arsenal away from home.
Yeah, I thought it was a tennis match, 6-love, but Arsenal have been different class. If you look at the way they've been playing, Arteta seems to have just going to push all the way. As I said earlier in the 3 top ones are going to be there for them against Arsenal.
In looking ahead at this weekend's action, of course, one can't ignore Liverpool. They've got a chance to stress their lead right at the top following a nice bounce back from the result where they lost against Arsenal. They faced Brentford away from home, with Brentford also in need of points.
Yeah, Brentford have gone through a very bad patch, so it's ideal time for Liverpool to go play them. They can't seem to buy a victory at the moment. I'm not too sure what's going on. Tony is back, but they haven't been firing. This is a difficult one, I know Man City beat them a short while ago, but for Liverpool to go there, it's going to be difficult. I think Liverpool will get the result. I do think that. And then they'll be 5 points clear because they play earlier in the week, so it puts pressure on the Arsenal and the Man Cities of this world.
2 tough games in a row for Burnley. They had Liverpool last. They've got Arsenal next, and that's later on today. Arsenal away from home. Burnley looking, running the risk of losing 2 in a row here.
Well, they're going to lose 2 in a row. The way Arsenal are playing at the moment, you can't look past Arsenal.
Sure.
They're scoring goals freely. They're playing as a unit. Arteta, as I said to you, I'm not too sure what's happened there, but he seems to be getting his tactics all correct. I feel sorry for Burnley. I know they like playing the ball, keeping the ball, but they're going to be under pressure by Arsenal. I can't see anything but Arsenal victory.
It's been an impressive run for City of late at home, which is quite important. But the opponent is one where you and I have discussed and have said they're unpredictable. You never know what Chelsea side could show up. If the right Chelsea side shows up here, could be a little bit of a pothole in the road here for City.
That's correct. Chelsea are one of those teams that on their day are too good. But if you look at the back, they are bad at the back in Chelsea. And I think this is where Man City are so good, is they're putting the pressure on. You've got Haaland, you've got Foden, you've got De Bruyne. What more can I say? De Silva. I can't see anything but a big victory here for Man City. I watched them midweek when they played a Champions League game, and they went to a bogey side, Copenhagen, and they actually outplayed them. So for me, I can't see anything but a victory here for Man City. So by the end of the weekend, again, we're going to be the same thing, 2 points separating, but they still got their game in hand.
Now, Manchester United, another side that's worth talking about. Ups and downs. There's been a lot of ups in recent times. Away from home to Luton Town.
This is a team I never get right, Man United.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Hard to predict,
It's very hard to predict. They're going to go to Luton. Luton got to bounce back, and Luton are now got to start worrying about their position. Man United, as I say, can't predict. They're very unpredictable. They're very not in the greatest of form, but they're getting victories. For me, I think a draw could be on the cards in this one. I really do. I do think Luton can get something out of it. If I had to lean any which way, I would go the draw and Man United, but that's sitting on the fence, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Another side which we spoke about at length, maybe beginning of the season, first half of the season, not quite so much after December, but they were impressive last season. That's Newcastle United. Looking to get it together, but it's been tough for them, and it may still be tough against the Bournemouth side that's looking for points. Yeah?
But you know what, Newcastle got those players coming back from injury, and that's the big thing. He didn't go into the transfer market, which is strange for me. Getting those players back has helped, and I do feel coming up against the Bournemouth side was struggling. They really are struggling. I think Newcastle will get the victory. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy game. I do think they'll get the victory. So for me, Newcastle, just to try and keep that pressure up on the top 7 so they can be in that position to play in Europe. They've tasted Europe. They want to be back there. I think they'll get a result. Yeah.
Talking top 7, you can't ignore Tottenham Hotspur up against Wolves. They're at home, or Tottenham. There's points where they look so good, look so impressive going forward defensively and as a unit. Then there's tight.
The next week they're terrible. I do feel that this game, again, I think will end up in a draw. Spurs, unfortunately, not getting the full points, so I draw on the cards for this one.
Well, the beauty of it all, the one word we've used quite a bit in as far as this Premier League is concerned, along with Shane over the weeks, is unpredictable. It's nice to see that the race right at the top has remained unpredictable, and there's so many that are still in the running and down at the bottom as well. So let's stay tuned on to the Premier League and see how things pan out as we roll straight into the business end of the season. Stay with Game 1. We come back and we have Jerry Skosana talking about all things Bafana Bafana and the local league, the PSL, that is coming back.
Game on.
Check these guys. Let's show them how it's really done. I see it. Let's have a
Your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Your feet like this.
Welcome back to Game On as we switch focus now and talk all things Bafana Bafana as well as the DStv Premiership, which is of course returning. So proud to be in the company of Jerry Skosana and Jerry. Man. Got the predictions out, got the semi-final, both for South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire.
Hey mfethu, yabona njengoba ngila amamela. Bathi ngesotho ngimxoxo. I'm happy. Yeah, really I did tell you ukuthi iVivory Coast for mina bazoyithatha le ndebe because bona even though bebanga see team that bad to be honest, but they had the support of which we advantage yabo eyenza ukuthi bathathe league as being icup le AFCON as being shilo. But if siya ngapha ngasekhaya, I mean akulangibe ne confidence.
Sebenzile futhi Ronwen.
Sikhuluma ngoRonwen la. Best goalkeeper ye tournament, sure. How many goalkeepers were there? Noabili.
And
Beba perform. But the boy was a standout. He's not tall. He doesn't have the physique, but we tatil. So it shows the confidence that he had.
How many footage from South Africa that got into the team of the tournament Mukwena in Malaysia?
Mukwena yahamba baba. If ngifuna nje unpack, ngibona ngathi Sundowns izomlosa. He's going to Europe. I mean, there were a lot of people that we're just impressed.
Yeah.
If you start from the first game of qualifications until the third and fourth, which was our last game, when was Mukwena replaced?
Never.
He played every minute in the whole tournament. I don't think there is a player that has done it. And if Umbuga, performance Mamela, he was just a standout player.
Now, let's move focus here and talk about the return of our bread and butter, the DStv Premiership, of course. And the big game coming up is the one everyone is talking about. It's the Gauteng derby, if you would. It's Joburg up against Pretoria. It's Sundowns, the Pirates. Huge game. What a way to return to the DStv Premiership.
Hey, kuzobanzima. Yazi le game mina ngifanisa like yabona mawusekhaya endlini uvuka ekseni.
Yeah.
Remember ukuthi angisho beyivalile league.
Yeah.
So now they are starting. And then it's Pirates versus Sundowns. Fine ukuthi uvuke ekseni ngo7 ekseni instead ukuthi udle breakfast, you know, the light meal.
Yeah.
Uya nje vele nje kusapha. I mean, it's going to be a huge game, you know, especially for both teams, because Mawubuki Sundowns, most of their players were in AFCON. So they're coming back. What was the preparations with the players that were left? And the Mawubuki and the Pirate, I mean, 3 players did well in terms of scoring the penalties. I mean, Monare, Sibisi, which is the defender, and Lepasa, they scored their penalties as well. So they might be confident because they didn't have more time to play than some of the Sundowns players. So asibuke ukuthi kuzobanjani on tonight, but mawubheka nale player lele bathi uLodge ankosami, let's see ukuthi iperformance yakhe uma bamnika ichance nje namhlanje ebusuku ukuthi iyoba njani. It's going to be an interesting game, to be honest.
Huge game. Manje kuneqala manje in the afternoon. Swallows idlala nePolokwane City. Swallows made so much drama out of Swallows over the last 3-4 months. Asazi, we're not sure what Swallows is coming out on this particular day.
Yeah, I can say maybe nami njoba ngihlezi nje la ngifakile isandla kuSwallows because from my team, you know, in the ABC Motsepe League, which is Tembisa Hollywood Thunder, I gave them a player which they wanted. They saw the player playing Goma tournaments and they were going to play right to Jacob Everson. He was signed on Monday and they were going to see now Uzo feature up because they were just raving about him. So I've also contributed in Kule controversy Swallows, and I hope at least with a lot of players abasha bazovela kuSwallows, they will do well because siyayifuna iSwallows. Swallows enomlando la ku-PSL akufanelanga idrop futhi.
Yeah. Team with so much history, like PSL, as you do say. Now, Royal M Sasa in the Tena Kaizer Chiefs. For Royal M, it's been a tough season. Chiefs seem to be getting better. They closed off the year impressively at the end of last year. We went on the game. Royal M, you're calling the Chiefs.
Aish, yabona le game izoba mnandi kakhulu man. If bekno chairman adlala weRoyal bese kuba no chairman weKaizer Chiefs adlala. It's just going to be exciting, but look, I mean, for Chiefs they really need the points. And for me now tomorrow I think kuzoba team enamandla. Zonke inkinga zeRoyal AM ebahlangabezana nazo in terms of ama players, salaries and all of those things. Ngibona ngathi izo ezenza ukuthi behle because they were not that good ngama game wabo before siya ku stoppage njengoba sizoya ku AFCON. So let's see tomorrow. Unfortunately bavula ngeteam efuna ukuthola ama points and they want to make sure ukuthi bathola futhi nelolo nomlando wabo ukuthi they are a big team. There's no way they can lose in a small team, even though badlalele Maritzburg, but things will be good for Chiefs.
Well, let's hope for a very good game then, when those two sides get together and face off in the battle for 3 points. In fact, let's hope for a great return in the way of the DStv Premiership in all the matches that will be played across South Africa. It's a happy return as we take a break now and I come back on the other side of this with a special guest in A Son of the Soil, Jeff Katala, discussing all things Africa Cup of Nations out in Cote d'Ivoire. Welcome back to Game On as we conclude matters in what's been happening out at Cote d'Ivoire at the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations. And to help me break it all down is A Son of the Soil, of course, in Jeff Katala. Mon ami, so glad to be in your company. Now let's talk all things AFCON. And as far as our two finalists here, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, in your wildest dreams, Could you have imagined these teams in the final?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Actually, we were seeing Senegal against Morocco,
Yeah.
or playing the trend, actually playing in the final. But it was very surprising to see that the host has actually reached the final, because we were not expecting that. When you have the likes of Morocco, you have the likes of Cameroon, Egypt, well, we were not expecting them. It's the same story that we were not even expecting Cape Verde to be the first team to qualify for the last 16.
True. Now, we also have to look at the final in itself. What did you think of the play? I thought it was a very entertaining game, but Cote d'Ivoire coming out tops. Did you see them as deserved winners? What did you make of the play?
Yes, deserved winners. I wanted Nigeria to win, but with what was happening within the stadium, the head of the state was there, the whole crowd, the stadium was filled to full capacity. Everyone in Cote d'Ivoire at Bimpe Stadium were actually behind Cote d'Ivoire. So with that energy, they had to win.
Roller coaster ride it must have been for the Ivorian supporters who thought they were out of the tournament at one point, but it's been full of surprises, and part of those surprises was South Africa, and I'm South African, and DRC, and you from the DRC, getting to the semi-finals and the third and fourth playoff. Was that a surprise for you? Did you expect that from DRC?
Yeah.
And what did you make of their tournament?
Yes, actually the whole tournament was about surprise.
Yeah.
And the big guns, so-called big gun powerhouses of football in Africa, went home very early. Would I say that the Minos went home, or the strongest team stayed, or the Minos stayed and the strongest went home early? So, but for me, DRC, I didn't know how they were winning games, because that team won only one game, and that was against Guinea. And they reached the semi-final, which was very amazing.
Yeah.
And South Africa, kudos to them for using only local-based players. Actually, the PSL has done marvelous at this particular AFCON.
Now, a lot of criticism over the years, now you and I have had these conversations for years going back, have been aimed at CAF for various reasons. But when you look at this AFCON, the way it's been packaged, the numbers of fans that came out, and we had high numbers of fans, I think close to 19,000 a game per average that came out for this AFCON, and the way it was packaged and presented to the world, would you say it was a job well done by CAF?
Yes, they are on the right path, but I want them. He doesn't want it to be played in June. He wanted it to be played in March or early 26.
Interesting. Now, let's go back to this tournament and talk players that stood out for you. The players you remember when, years from now, you and I are sitting and we're talking about the AFCON out in Cote d'Ivoire.
For me, Rowan from South Africa was outstanding. But I don't like the fact when they say that, he's got the golden gloves because of penalty. Because the penalties came after 120 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. But his performance overall during the game, yes. And there are also one player from South Africa that I didn't mention, actually. It is Vala in the defense.
Yes.
I like the way he played. Yeah. And Adingra from Cote d'Ivoire. Those are a few of my best players.
And now let's talk all-round quality. We've talked World Cup in months gone by, not too long ago. We've seen the standard. We've also seen Africa catching up in the way of competing, with Morocco doing as well as they did. When you look at this AFCON, would you say the standard of the African game is moving in the right direction to be as marketable as the Euros that you mentioned, as the game in South America and other parts of the world? Are we catching up?
Yes, we have to. We're catching up, because I don't see many frontiers in this particular AFCON between the Maghreb region and the Sub-Saharan region. Because when you see that Mauritania and Namibia has won for the first time, has recorded victories at the AFCON for the first time, it shows you that there's no more, the gap is not wide enough now. You can see that even Algeria was kicked out by Mauritania, so which means that we are on the right path. But one main thing that CAF should do is to strengthen actually the hosting of a zonal tournament. Yeah.
You see the COSAFA region is doing well.
Absolutely. You see, COSAFA is doing well. CECAFA may come also on board, WAFU and the Central Africa and the Maghreb region. We have to do that actually to have big and solid national teams.
Well, there you have it. Solid points coming from Jeff Katala. And unfortunately, we have run out of time here. So big thank you to you for taking the time to join us here on Game On. Thank you to Jeff Katala. Not forgetting, of course, Shane McGregor as well as Jerry Skosana. I'm Caesar Mapena, and we sign out this week, as we always do, here on Game On. Click, click, bang.